Our objective in this lesson is to prove theorems on different kinds of parallelogram. In particular, we're going to prove theorems on rectangle, rhombus, and square. In proving, it is necessary to recall important concepts, such as reflexive property. In symbols, this is A is equal to A. It means a quantity is equal to itself. Another thing are the triangle congruence postulates and theorems. We have the SSS, side, 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 SAS, side, angle, side, ASA, angle, side, angle, AAS, angle, angle, side, and for right triangles only, the HL, hypotenuse, leg theorem. It is also good to note the CPCTC, which stands for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So it means if two triangles are proven to be congruent, then each corresponding part, angles, and sides of the triangles is also congruent. For instance, in SSS, if we have proven that these two triangles are congruent, then the corresponding angles of the two triangles are also congruent. We also have AIA, which means alternate interior angles. And we have learned from our lesson transversals that alternate interior angles are congruent. We will also encounter words such as bisected angles, midpoint, perpendicular, among others. Let's have the first one, the rectangle. Before we prove, let us recall first its properties. So here is a rectangle, and rectangle is a parallelogram. It is under parallelogram. So it means the properties of parallelogram are also properties of a rectangle. And those are opposite sides are parallel. So we have this side and these sides. We have opposite sides are congruent. We have these two sides and these two sides are congruent. We have opposite angles are congruent, such as these two opposite angles and these two here. Also, adjacent angles are supplementary. Adjacent meaning they are consecutive. Like these two here, when you add their measures, it will be equal to 180 degrees. Supplementary. Same thing with these two here. Another one, diagonals bisect each other. So if we create diagonals like this, then they bisect each other. So meaning this one is congruent to this side, this one too with this one. And since this is a rectangle, then all bisected diagonals are congruent. And finally, diagonals form two congruent triangles. So for instance, this diagonal here is a triangle and it is congruent with this triangle. Same thing applies if this is the diagonal. This triangle is congruent with this triangle. Now, for the theorems, rectangle theorem 1 states that if a parallelogram has a right angle, then it has four right angles. And the parallelogram is a rectangle. So if a parallelogram has one right angle, it follows that it has four right angles. Then the parallelogram is a rectangle. Another rectangle theorem that we are going to prove later is that the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So these two diagonals here are congruent. Let us start proving. We are given here parallelogram JUST with angle T being a right angle. And we are asked to prove that angle J, angle U, and angle S are also right angles. So this is rectangle theorem 1. Again, let us recall, if a parallelogram has a right angle, such as this one, then it has four right angles. And the parallelogram is a rectangle. Okay, in proving, we are usually given two-column proof. The left side are the statements and the right side are the reasons. It is usually like this in class. So there are missing statements and missing reasons that we have to fill in. But sometimes there are no statements and reasons at all. We have to supply everything. I have an example for that in our succeeding example. Okay, so let us start. The easiest part is the number one, which is the given. So all you have to do is to look at the given and copy what is given. So in here, we have JUST is a parallelogram with right angle T. So you just have to write it under the statement. And then it says here in statement 2 that the measure of angle T is 90 degrees. The measure of angle T is 90 degrees. And what could be the possible reason for that? Because that is the definition of right angle. Remember that a right angle measures 90 degrees and it is specified in our given that angle T is a right angle. So by definition, its measurement is 90 degrees. Next, we have the third reason. In a parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent. So we are actually given a clue here that we are going to look for opposite angles. And we know, we just recall earlier that they are congruent. So what would that be? That will be angle T is congruent with angle U. Also, angle J is congruent with angle S. Opposite angles are congruent. Now, if they are congruent, it means their measurements are equal. So the measurement of angle T is equal to the measurement of angle U. The measurement of angle J is equal to the measurement of angle S. And that is by definition of congruent angles. When we say congruent angles, they have the same measurements. Next statement is that the measure of angle U is 90 degrees. This one, this is 90 degrees. And how is that? Because from statement 2, it says here, the measure of angle T is 90 degrees. And from statement 4, it is said that the measure of angle T is equal to the measurement of angle U. So if angle T is 90 degrees, then it follows that angle U is also 90 degrees. And our reason for that will be substitution from statements 2 and 4. So we were able to state this because we combined statements 2 and 4. Next one, the measure of angle T plus the measure of angle S equals 180 degrees. So let's take a look at the figure. The measure of angle T and angle S equals 180 degrees. What is the reason for that? Because angle T and angle S are supplementary angles. And how did they become supplementary? Because they are adjacent angles. They are consecutive angles. And consecutive angles measures 180 degrees. Now, if you're going to take a look at statement 7, the only difference of it from statement 6 is the 90 degrees for the measurement of angle T. Then the rest is the same. So where did this come from? This came from statement 2. We substituted statement 2 to statement 6. That's why we were able to replace measurement of angle T equals 90 degrees. So once again, this is substitution, but this time from statement 2 and 6. Next statement here is that angle S is equal to 90 degrees. Here is angle S. So we were able to prove already that angle T is 90, that angle U is 90. Now, we have to prove that angle S is 90 degrees. And how are we going to do that? If we are going to move 90 degrees on this side, it will become 180 degrees minus 90 degrees. And that is equal to 90 degrees. So, measurement of angle S is equal to 90 degrees. And our reason will be Subtraction property from statement 7. We subtract 90 from 180. Next, the reason given here is substitution from statements 4 and statement 8. So let us see. Statement 8 says that the measurement of angle S is 90 degrees. And in statement 4, the measurement of angle S is equal to the measurement of angle J. So if the reason is substitution, then it follows that the measure of angle J is 90 degrees as well. Again, the measurement of angle S is 90 degrees. And the measurement of angle S is equal to the measurement of angle J. So if angle S is 90 degrees, then the measurement of angle J is also 90 degrees. Next statement here, the measurement of angle J, measurement of angle U, and measurement of angle S are right angles. We were able to prove that already. It's here. We have angle J, angle U, and angle S. They are all equal to 90 degrees. So, they are right angles because that is the definition of right angle. It measures 90 degrees. And the last reason, definition of a rectangle. Since we are proving that if one angle is 90 degrees, then it has 4 right angles, the parallelogram now is a rectangle. So now we can say that parallelogram JUST is a rectangle. Do not fret in proving theorems. At first, yes, it is quite overwhelming. And it's quite difficult, you may say, but as you practice doing this, you will master on how to prove theorems. Let us move to rectangle theorem 2. And it states that the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So we are given here, FINE is a rectangle with diagonals line segment FN and line segment EI. We are asked to prove that these diagonals are congruent. So again, the easiest one is the given. Just take a look at the given and copy it. FINE is a rectangle with diagonals FN and EI. Then it says here in the second statement, FI is congruent with EN. So what is the reason for their congruency? FI is congruent with EN because in parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent. We know that this is a property of a parallelogram. Next statement, angle I and angle N are right angles. And how do we know that? We just proved that in Theorem 1, if there is one right angle, then there are 4 right angles in a rectangle. So by definition of rectangle, we can say that angle I and angle N are congruent. So it means angle I and angle N here are right angles. So if angle I and angle N are right angles, it means angle I is congruent with angle N because all right angles are congruent. All right angles measures 90 degrees. Okay, let us examine. We have side angle, side angle. And if you're going to look at here, side angle side, meaning we have to look for another side that is congruent to both triangles. And it's already here. IN is congruent with NI. We just have to supply the reason. And the reason for that is reflexive property. A quantity is equal to itself. So we have now side, angle, side, side, angle, side. So by SAS congruence postulate, we can say that triangle FIN is congruent with triangle ENI. So if they are congruent, then their corresponding parts are also congruent. That is why line segment FN is congruent with line segment EI through CPC-TC. Congruent parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So just a quick recap. So we have here side, angle, side. This side is congruent with this side. This angle is congruent with this angle. This side is congruent with this side, which means this line segment, which is part of this triangle, is congruent with this line segment, which is part of this triangle. By congruent parts of congruent triangles are congruent. I hope you get it. This time we're going to talk about rhombus. So before proving, let us recall the properties of a rhombus. Since this is also a parallelogram, then the properties of parallelogram are also properties of rhombus. And those are, first, opposite sides are parallel. So these two sides and these two sides. Next one, opposite sides are congruent. These two are congruent. These two are congruent. Next one, opposite angles are congruent. These opposite angles are congruent. These opposite angles are congruent. Next one, adjacent angles are supplementary. So these two here are adjacent. So when you add their measurement, it is equal to 180 degrees. Same thing with these two here. They are also adjacent. So when you add their measurements, that would be 180 degrees. And diagonals bisect each other. So that is a property of a parallelogram. So these two are congruent while these two are congruent. Last property of parallelogram, diagonals form two congruent triangles. So in this case, if we are going to consider this diagonal, this triangle is congruent with this triangle. Now, let's talk about the theorems of rhombus. The first one, it says the diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. So meaning in here, it creates 90 degrees on all corners. Rhombus theorem number 2, each diagonal of a rhombus bisects opposite angles. So if we are going to consider this diagonal, then it means that these angles are congruent. The bisected angles. So this one with this one with this one. And if we are going to consider this diagonal, then these bisected angles are congruent as well. And the last rhombus theorem is that all sides of a rhombus are congruent. So all sides are congruent. Let us start proving. Rhombus theorem number 1. Again, the diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. So I have here HOME is a rhombus. HOME is a rhombus. We're going to prove that line segment HM is perpendicular with line segment OE. The easiest, the given HOME is a rhombus. Next one, OH. OH is congruent with OM. So these two are congruent. And why is that? Because that is the definition of a rhombus. All sides are congruent. So these two sides here are definitely congruent. Next, for the reason in a parallelogram, diagonals bisect each other. So meaning HM and OE bisect each other, right? Diagonals bisect each other. So HM bisect OE and OE bisect HM. They bisect each other. Next statement here is S is the midpoint of HM. S is the midpoint of HM. How come? Because OE bisects HM at point S. This is the midpoint because line segment OE bisect line segment HM. at point S. So if it bisects line segment HM, the next reason is definition of midpoint, and we all know that midpoint bisects a line segment into two congruent parts, then it means these two here are congruent, meaning line segment HS is congruent with line segment MS. That is the definition of midpoint. It bisects a line segment into two congruent parts. Next statement here, SO is congruent with SO. SO is congruent with SO. Very easy. Reflexive property. A quantity is equal to itself. So if that is the case, we have now side, 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 side. That's why we have SSS congruence postulate. We just have to state the triangles that are congruent. And that is triangle HSO is congruent with triangle MSO. Again, triangle HSO is congruent with triangle MSO. If these two triangles are congruent, then statement 8, angle HSO, so this one, is congruent with angle MSO, this one. So this is congruent with this. And what is the reason? Because these two are congruent, then their corresponding parts are also congruent. CPC, TC. So that is a hint. Usually, after the reason of postulate or theorem, the next reason would be CPC-TC because you already established that they are congruent. And so, their corresponding parts are also congruent. So in this case, triangle HSO and triangle MSO, the congruent parts are these two angles here. Angle HSO and angle MSO. Next statement. Angle HSO, again this one, and angle MSO, this one, are right angles. So how is that? How come they are right angles? Because they form a line, meaning they are linear pair. And if they are linear pair, we all know straight line produces 180 degrees. So if their measures are congruent and should sum up to 180 degrees, it tells me that each angle measures 90 degrees, which is right angle. So that is our reason. Because angle HSO and angle MSO form a linear pair and they are congruent. Let us make this clear. This is a straight line, so they are linear pair. If they are linear pair, they form 180 degrees. And if they are congruent and their sum is equal to 180 degrees, it means that each one measures 90 degrees. 90 plus 90 congruent equals 180 degrees. Linear pair. So if this one is 90 degrees, this one is 90 degrees, then we already proved that line segment HM is perpendicular with line segment OE because they form 90 degrees in their intersection. Okay, let us proceed proving rhombus theorem number 2. Let us recall that would be each diagonal of a rhombus bisects opposite angles. So given is SAFE is a rhombus, and we are asked to prove that angle 1 is congruent with angle 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Let's start with the given. SAFE is a rhombus. Then the second statement, SA is congruent with AF, is congruent with FE, is congruent with ES. So all sides are congruent. And that is true because that is definition of rhombus. all sides are congruent. Reason number 3, in a parallelogram, diagonals bisect each other. Let us consider one diagonal, let us say SF. So if the diagonals bisect each other, then diagonal AE bisect diagonal SF. It means line segment SR is congruent with line segment FR. So these two are congruent. And also, line segment AR is congruent with line segment ER. That is because line segment SF bisects line segment AE. So these two are also congruent. So let's take a look. What do we have here? I have here side, 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 with side, side, side. Three sides. That means SSS congruence postulate. Let's look. Triangle ESR is congruent with triangle ASR. Also congruent with triangle AFR and also congruent with triangle EFR. Be careful in arranging the letters. For instance, we have triangle ESR. ESR. So meaning, 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks, 3 tick marks is congruent with ASR. 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks, 3 tick marks. Congruent with triangle AFR. 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks, 3 tick marks. And last one, congruent with triangle EFR. 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks, 3 tick marks. And that is again, side, side, side congruence postulate. Since the 4 triangles here are congruent with one another, then their corresponding parts are also congruent. Let's take a look angle 1 and angle 2. So triangle ASR is congruent with triangle AFR. Imagine we are going to fold this triangle and put it on top of triangle ASR. Then 1 and 2 are corresponding angles. If these two triangles are put on top of one another, then 5 and 6 are congruent. If these two triangles are put on top of one another, 3 and 4 are congruent. If these two triangles are put on top of one another, then angles 7 and 8 are congruent. And again, that is because of congruent parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Next theorem for rhombus, we have rhombus theorem 3. All sides of a rhombus are congruent. So we have here ENJO is a rhombus, and Y bisects line segment EJ. We are asked to prove that EN is congruent with NJ, congruent with JO, and congruent with OE. So we have many missing statements here. Let's start with the given. ENJO is a rhombus, Y bisects EJ. The part of Y bisects EJ is written here, so I did not put it here. Next, AIA are congruent. So we are given a hint here that we are going to look for alternate interior angles. And we know that alternate interior angles are congruent. So let's take a look. That would be angle NEJ is congruent with angle OJE. NEJ, this one, is congruent with OJE, this one. So these two are congruent. And also, we have OEJ, this one here, is congruent with NJE. OEJ, this one, is congruent with NJE, this one. And that is reason number 2. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Next statement, EJ is congruent with JE. So it is just the same line. So we know that it is reflexive property. So let's examine. We have angle, side, angle. That's why the next reason is ASA. Angle, side angle. With angle, side angle. So where are the two triangles? That would be triangle EJN is congruent with triangle JEO. Again, triangle EJN, so 1 to 2 tick marks, is congruent with JEO, 1 going to 2 tick marks, as a congruence postulate. And if these two triangles are congruent, their corresponding parts are also congruent. And which parts of the triangle are we referring to? If these two are congruent, imagine this triangle, move it clockwise, wherein this angle will be on top of this angle, and this angle will be on top of this angle. So the congruent parts will be line segment EN is congruent with line segment JO. Again, that would be line segment EN and line segment JO. And also, if we move this triangle, line segment NJ is congruent with line segment OE. NJ with OE. Next reason, Y bisects EJ. Y bisects EJ, and that is from the given. So it means line segment EY is congruent with line segment JY. Next statement here, EJ is perpendicular with NO. So let us create line segment NO. And it says here they are perpendicular. And what is the possible reason? It is because diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. So this line segment is perpendicular with this line segment. Statement 8, angle EYN, so this portion, is congruent with angle JYN, this one. And they are both equal to 90 degrees because perpendicular lines form 90 degrees. The next reason is reflexive property. For me to identify that part that is equal to itself, I'm going to use statement 10. It says here triangle EYN is congruent with triangle JYN. These two triangles are congruent. So line segment YN is congruent with line segment NY. That is the reflexive property. And through what postulate we can say the triangle EYN is congruent with JYN? Let us examine. EY, this one is statement 6. And then angle EYN, this one is statement 8. And then line segment YN. So I have side, angle, side. In here, side, angle, side. So that is SAS congruence postulate. And if these two triangles are congruent, it means their corresponding parts are also congruent. So these two are congruent. It means side EN is congruent with line segment NJ. So this one is now congruent to this one. The last reason is substitutions from statements 5 and 11. Statement 11 is EN is congruent to NJ. EN congruent to NJ. Statement 5 states that NJ is congruent to OE. So if this is NJ, it is also congruent to OE. And EN is also congruent to JO. So now we were able to prove that line segment EN is congruent with NJ, also congruent with JO, and also congruent with OE. So yes, rhombus theorem number 3, all sides are congruent. The last parallelogram that we're going to prove the theorems is the square. So square is actually product of rectangle and rhombus, which are both parallelogram. It means the properties of parallelogram holds true for a square. And again, these are opposite sides are parallel. So these two sides and these two sides. Another, opposite sides are congruent. These two sides and these two sides. Next one, opposite angles are congruent. These angles are congruent. These angles are also congruent. Next one, adjacent angles are supplementary. Let us consider these two angles that are consecutive or adjacent. They are equal to 180 degrees. And also these two here at the bottom, together they are 180 degrees in measure. Next one, diagonals bisect each other. Let us create diagonals and they bisect each other. And the last, diagonals form two congruent triangles. So if I'm going to consider this diagonal, then this triangle below is congruent with this triangle on top. And if I'm going to consider this diagonal, then this one is congruent with this one. Now, I mentioned earlier that square is a product of rectangle and rhombus combined. So it means their diagonals are congruent. So these two diagonals here are congruent. And from rectangle, all angles are 90 degrees. So these four angles are all 90 degrees. And from rhombus, diagonals are perpendicular. So the intersection of the diagonals here form 90 degrees. And another one from rhombus, all sides are congruent. So these four sides are congruent. For square, we are going to prove theorem number 1, and that is the diagonals of a square are congruent and perpendicular to each other. So I already combined them. Okay, let's start. Again, the given is GAME is a square with diagonals GM and AE. Due to space constraint, I was not able to write any more diagonals GM and AE. Next one, GA is congruent with AM, congruent with ME, congruent with EG. So the four sides are congruent. And that is because that is the definition of a square. All sides are congruent. Another definition of a square from a rectangle is that all angles are congruent and are equal to 90 degrees. So that means angle G is congruent with angle A, angle M, and angle E, and all measures 90 degrees. Now, the next statement is that triangle GAM is congruent with triangle AME, congruent with triangle MEG, and congruent with triangle EGM. And what would be the possible reason for that? If we are going to take a look at our figure here, the two sides are congruent and it is a right angle, meaning each triangle here is isosceles right triangle. If this is a right triangle, definitely the side opposite it is the hypotenuse. So we can use the hypotenuse leg theorem to prove that these triangles are congruent with one another. Again, HL. HL means hypotenuse leg theorem. So this hypotenuse and this leg, with this hypotenuse and this leg, this hypotenuse and this leg, this hypotenuse and this leg. They are all equal to one another. If each triangle here is congruent with one another by CPCTC, then we can say that line segment GM is congruent with line segment AE. They are both hypotenuse in these triangles. Now, GSA is congruent with MSA and are both equal to 90 degrees. They are both 90 degrees because together they form a line. And we know that the angle for a line is 180 degrees. So if they are congruent, then it tells me that each one of the angle measures 90 degrees. Because 90 plus 90 will give me 180 degrees. So the reason will be angle GSA and angle MSA are linear pair and are congruent. And to continue, the last reason is definition of perpendicular lines. We can now say that line segment GM is perpendicular with line segment AE because they form 90 degrees in their intersection. So we were able to prove that the diagonals are congruent and that the diagonals are perpendicular to one another. Let us proceed with square theorem number 2. And that is, each diagonal of a square forms two congruent isosceles triangles. Notice that there is no statement nor reason given. So we have to supply everything. This one is quite tricky. We have here PLAY is a square with diagonal PA. And we're going to prove that triangle PYA and triangle ALP are isosceles right triangles. Let's start. Of course, the easiest one is the given, and that is PLAY is a square with diagonal line segment PA. Now, since this is a square, we know that PL is congruent with LA, with AY, and with YP. So the four sides are congruent. It is the definition of a square. We can also state that angle P is congruent with angle L, with angle A, and angle Y, and are all equal to 90 degrees. So it means all these angles are congruent and each one measures 90 degrees because, just like in reason number 2, that is one definition of a square. So if I am going to analyze our figure here, we have two sides that are congruent and a right angle. So the two sides and the right angle here make isosceles right triangle. So to form one isosceles right triangle, it means that diagonal PA is congruent with diagonal AP. And that is because of reflexive property. And with that, we can now say that triangle PLA is congruent with triangle AYP. That is because of SSS congruence postulate. So we were able to prove that the two triangles are isosceles because two sides are congruent, and it is right because the angle is 90 degrees. Try this. Given DOST is a rhombus with diagonal TO, we are asked to prove that angle 1 and 4 are congruent and angle 3 and 2 are also congruent. So the given DOST is a rhombus with diagonal line segment TO. It says here, line segment DO is congruent with OS, with ST, with TD. So these four sides are congruent. And that is because that is the definition of a rhombus. All sides are congruent. Next reason, in a parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent. So we are given a hint here that we have to look for opposite angles. So angle D is congruent with angle S. They are opposite to one another. Also, we have angle O and angle T congruent to one another. Next reason, side, angle, side. So we just have to look for side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. We have proven that this angle is congruent with this angle. And side, angle, side. So meaning triangle ODT is congruent with triangle OST by side, angle, side, congruence postulate. And since these two triangles are congruent, then their corresponding parts are also congruent. So imagine that we are going to fold this into this diagonal and put one on top of the other. Then angle 1 is congruent with angle 4 and angle 3 is congruent with angle 2. For the summary, here are the different theorems on selected parallelograms that we discussed in this lesson. Take time to understand this. Now, it is time to check your understanding. Pause this video for more time. Let us answer. We are given here parallelogram CURE with diagonal CR and UE. We will prove that CH is congruent with RH and UH is congruent with EH. Let us fill in the missing statements and reasons. Number one reason is the given. Let us just copy this. Parallelogram CURE with diagonal CR and UE. Next statement, line segment CU is congruent with line segment ER. Line segment CE is congruent with line segment RU. So these two are congruent. These two are also congruent. And we know that because in parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent. Next statement, line segment CE is parallel with line segment UR. So these two are parallel. And then CU is parallel with line segment ER. So these two are also parallel. We know that because in a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel. Next statement, angle 1 is congruent with angle 4 and angle 2 is congruent with angle 3. We have already stated that opposite sides are parallel. Therefore, this diagonal and this diagonal can be considered as transversal, meaning parallel lines cut by a transversal. Parallel lines cut by a transversal. And we have learned that alternate interior angles are congruent. That is why angle 1 is congruent with angle 4 and angle 2 is congruent with angle 3. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Next reason is angle-side angle congruence postulate. So let us examine which triangle this reason is referring to. So we have angle, side angle, angle, side angle. It means triangle CHU is congruent with triangle RHE. Again, CHU congruent with RHE. Since these two triangles are congruent, then their corresponding parts are also congruent. Imagine that we are going to move this one on top of this triangle at the bottom. Then angle 1 will superimpose angle 4. Angle 2 will superimpose angle 3. So line segment CH will superimpose line segment RH and line segment EH will superimpose line segment UH. Again, that is because of CPCTC. Congruent parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Gets? Our next lesson is to prove the midline theorem.